Hello world, hello world. Can I hear myself? Hello world, where am I? Sorry. It's a Tuesday morning. Just let me check on that one. Yeah, it is Tuesday. And God bless you all. Something like that. Okay, we've got a very full show today. And I would imagine some of the audience overseas probably had a few tipples. And they're a bit full too, but anyway. So we're going to get into our what's making news first of all, then we're going to cross to the UK, play a couple of songs and talk to a very talented person who's like a great number of us in this country, entirely distressed. What is distressing also is that I would say the vast majority at the moment doesn't give a rat's about the Brumbies. And that's partially because the propaganda or the information operation that's underway with particular organisations, government, private companies such as the ISC and stuff is sort of working. And the other part is that we have a tendency of being a bit apathetic, and it's got to stop. It has to stop, otherwise, what use are we? We've got to have a voice, don't we? Anyway, first of all, some of the stories that are making news around the country. 7 suspected H5 bird flu cases have been detected in greater crested terns on South Australia's limestone coast. Supermarket giants Woolies and Coles have agreed to price increases across key fruit and vegetable categories, helping to ease pressure on growers hit by surging costs in fertiliser and fuel since the outbreak of war in the Middle East. You know that war, the president of the universe said it would be finished within days. It's not. And you watch in this country, prices will go kaboom. And now that the Houthis are involved, stopping more oil getting through, and I see Qatar are going to build a really large pipe inland so that they don't have to use the shipping. 2 things. 1, how long will that take? And 2, do the Houthis or Iran bomb the crap out of that? So anyway, we're going to have increasing prices, and I think it should be, we should look after the farmers, for the consumers, increasing prices, which will also put enormous strain on every household. Penfolds has halted all bin 407 shipments to China for 3 months to combat a grey market which is discounting and that has eroded the luxury wine's prestige. Beautiful bottle of wine, but a bit sneaky overseas at times. Let's stock it. Anyway, and finally, patrons along one of the Gold Coast most loved dining strips got a real eyeful on Friday night when a group of nude men came streaking past. Could you imagine? Oh my God, that's my next door neighbour. Anyway, the dozen or so men were seen spilling out of a ute on the corner of Breaker Street, in Main Beach, in nothing but their birthday suits, which is really interesting. Now, this may have followed the day before when a local butcher did the same, came over the hill with his meat wagon. And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. True, a butcher did. My mum told me that once. He came over the hill with his meat wagon. He did. That's what butchers used to do in my mum's day. They used to store it in the back of little things, pulled along by the wife or a horse. So those who thought I was being rude, shame on you. Good on you, Mum. She's gone now, but she's still making me tell those terrible jokes. Before we cross to the UK, I want to play this song. This is one of the songs from Maira Kay. It's absolutely beautiful, a very talented songwriter indeed, here on the Country Telegraph.
Across the snowy mountains high, where crystal streams run clear, the Brumbies gathered side by side, their families always near. The mighty bay stood watchful, the chestnuts bold and bright. The silver greys like morning mist glowed softly in the light. The blacks were proud as midnight, the buckskin shone like gold. The duns wore ancient earth tones with stories yet untold. The pine toes danced in patches like clouds across the sky. The palominos caught the dawn with sunlight in their eyes. Roan shimmered through the valleys, blue roans, red roans too. The creams and softy lutes appeared like mountain morning dew. Each coat a living masterpiece, no two were quite the same. Nature painted every horse, then softly signed its name. Oh, beautiful Brumbies, so graceful and so free, the beating heart of Australia's soul for all eternity. You pranced beneath the snow gums with floating manes so fair. The mountain breeze became a song as freedom filled the air. They nuzzled one another beneath each gentle chin. They breathed into each other's manes with quiet trust within. They rubbed their noses softly and groomed each flowing crest, a loving touch upon the neck to say you're safe, just rest. The foals would chase their mothers with joyful little leaps. The aunties watched the youngsters while stallions scanned the peaks. The mares stood close together, protecting every foe, a family bound by kindness with one united soul. They whispered through their ears with breath, they stood from storm and cold. They circled round the weakest one with courage calm and bold. A glance was all they needed, no words were ever said. Their love was written silently in every path they tread. They floated over granite, sure-footed, light and proud. They climbed the rugged mountain trails above the drifting clouds. Their tails flowed like soft ribbons, their manes like silver rain. Each elegant, collected step, a dance across the plain. Oh, beautiful Brumbies, your love still lights the way. In every book, in every every song, you'll never fade away. We'll tell your story proudly for generations yet to be.
What a great track that is to beautiful Brumbies and Maira Kay. In 1 second, we'll be crossing to Maira in the UK, who should be in bed. Sorry, I sound like a father. Grandpappy. Instant Polls is our official sponsor. If you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff, and gather valuable data from your most important resource, your employees, then don't forget, visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. Now, this week's poll on the Country Telegraph, which fits in with this entire conversation, do you want the Brumbies cull to stop immediately? You should be, I mean, in my case, I can only do it once. Everybody can do it once, but I voted, indeed, it must be stopped immediately. Now, because there's only a few left. We'll have more about that later. Just use the QR code on our screen to vote. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. You'll have a week to vote before the result is broadcast on the Country Telegraph after 8 a.m. next Tuesday. The link will also be published on our Facebook page this morning. Share the link and ask your family and friends to participate. I think it's just a magnificent addition that we have here at the Country Telegraph. Now, the poll is very important, so please vote and make your opinion count. As I mentioned, there's only some reports are saying there's 90 left in parts of the Kosciuszko National Park, which is just appalling. And someone wrote in, "Stop being so emotive, get stuffed." It's all about emotion. You don't do this to fellow Aussies, and they are. And you don't do this to animals anyway. I mean, who are we? Rulers of the universe? Get stuffed, mate. Maira Kay's father was an engineer with the Snowy Mountains Authority. As a child, she first laid eyes on the Snowy Mountains and the Brumbies as the horsemen and women would ride up into the high country. She was mesmerised. She began volunteering with horses at age 5 and had her own at 9, settling eventually in Jindabyne. Maira spent her childhood in Kosciuszko National Park, skiing, sailing, swimming, fishing, camping, canoeing, barbecuing in the fresh alpine air, and in between breathing, because she did so many things. Those mountains are her home. Maira has written songs for the Snowy Mountains and the Brumby community, and she now must watch in horror at the elimination strategy of the New South Wales government, encouraged by the group of terrible people, the ISC, Andrew Cox, I think Richard Swain, who else is there? Others? Chekhov. That's right, what a terrible name. Chekhov. Maira is overseas at the moment, living the life of luxury, and would like to share her story of growing up in the Snowies. Maira is currently enrolled in Equine studies and longs to return home to see the Brumbies. Maira, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi everybody.
Greetings. I have to say your music's very beautiful, and you are just to underestimate or understate, the entire thing. You are a prolific songwriter, and because you are a Snowy Mountains gal living overseas, you must, one, feel quite helpless, and two, dismayed and distressed at what's happening to your backyard.
Today of all days to be talking about the Brumbies is as significant for us in the Brumby community as when Princess Diana died. We will never forget this day. It is outrageous, and I'm very humbled to be talking on this particular day with you about my life and my music and my experience as a Snowy Mountains girl.
Tell me about growing up in the Snowy Mountains and having the Brumbies as your friends, as your playmates, as your mentors.
My family must have realized I was drawn like a magnetic to these beautiful animals. Before I could even walk and talk, I was just gazing in their big, beautiful brown eyes of the horsemen and women that rode up into the Snowy Mountains on horseback. And my passion for horses was evident, volunteering, like you said, at 5 years old. Impressed them so much that I got my own little horse at 9. And there's just nothing like it. Having a horse, a Brumby, as your best friend, the confidence they give you and instill in you as a young girl growing up in the world is second to none. They are just so loving, so tender-hearted. You're full of bewilderment when you're with a horse, and that personal relationship is just nothing you can get from any other creature on the planet. They're comforting, they're warm, they're compassionate. They don't ask anything from you. It's a real loss what's happened in the Snowy Mountains now and in Australia with our Brumbies. We as horse people just could not want to share these lovely animals with everyone else enough. They fulfill so many roles in society. They ask for nothing back.
They do. I am just truly amazed at the community in the Kosciuszko National Park, and it's surrounded from Tumbarumba to Cooma to Jindabyne. There are a great number of people who are very distressed, and we often talk about what do we do? How can we help themselves get through this terrible time in their lives, because they're watching government just roll over the common sense and the wishes of these people that understand these horses, and to say that their horses are destroying the environment is a total fabrication of the truth. We had a lady on yesterday who was telling us that don't forget, I think 40,000 years ago, we were a land of giant animals, big animals, giant wombats and stuff like that. So we actually do need a larger animal at the moment, because it actually helps the environment, and it mitigates the chance of a fire. And it's very, very, very sad indeed. I have very sleepless nights at the moment, which is not good for your health, but I think it's just terrible. How does it make you feel? I mean, because you know this area, you know that this is crap, what they're going on with.
Yes, I was a bit late to hear about what was going on with the Brumbies before COVID and during, but the algorithms came up onto my phone once I was enrolled as a student in the college here, and I was flabbergasted about what was happening. It's just mind-blowing how anyone would want to hurt our Brumbies, Australian heritage Brumbies. My great-great-great-great-grandfather was a horseman from Yorkshire, sent to Australia as a convict. He could read and write and break horses in, so obviously he built civilization with us on the back of these horses, with many other hard-working colonial people of the time. And my mother's dad would paint beautiful artworks in Canberra with landscape and horses in front of it, and that was my first gift that I ever remember receiving, and I held on to that forever and a day, that little picture in a frame. And my nephew currently is working with horses in England, representing Australia in a bit more posher atmosphere compared to me hacking around in the Western style of horse riding. He's jumping and doing gymkhanas. So horses have been in our family for a long time, it seems, and it's just bewildering how people who don't understand these animals, or any animal, can just be so destructive. The power that they want to yield over living things and us is mind-blowing.
Doesn't make a man or a woman a stronger person by killing a defenseless animal. Another song we played from Billy D says, why did the gentle cry? and that's what's happening at the moment. We are fast becoming a nation of bullies and do what government says. Let me tell you, we are not going to roll over. We are only interested in one thing at the moment. Now, that is to stop the killing. We have other figures that are coming out. We'll talk to one of our guests in the next hour about those figures. But some are saying now there are 90 left in one part of Mount Kosciuszko in the park, and that's just appalling. Others are just lamenting the loss of these beautiful creatures they used to watch outside their the windows from the kitchens. Brett and Deanna at Moonbar Hut, they also used to watch. They don't see those Brumbies anymore, and we were broadcasting from there a week and a bit ago. In fact, it's probably about a week, and my wife said that she popped over as I was broadcasting and freezing to death. She popped over a little bridge and felt really, really strange. It just felt like life had been sucked out. Nothing was there. No birds, no nature, just nothing. And it was very disturbing. Tell me about your studies, because some would say you're just horsing around, but you're over there studying equine. You see, got these very bad jokes at the moment. It's my mum's fault. She must be haunting me.
I feel like, thank you for asking, I feel like I've come full circle. I love your sense of humour, by the way.
I feel sad for you.
Having left Australia and giving my horse to some people, lovely people I was volunteering with, taking others out on horse tracks. We would camp overnight or a couple of nights, and I gave my beautiful boy to lovely Ernie and Lee, who moved their pack of maybe 25 horses to Queensland, and this saga has put me back in touch with them, so I'm looking forward to having a conversation after all these years with them. And of course my horse won't be around anymore. They live sometimes 25, 35, even 40 years of age, but when I saw my nephew, just going back a little bit to answer your question, in England with the liveries, that is such a beautiful environment that I grew up in with raising my horse. He's doing that as a job, and I thought it was very far-fetched when I was younger to be a Jillaroo or a Jackaroo. I thought nobody's doing that anymore, but having now stepped into the world of my nephew, I thought I can go back and return to the horses and a life with horses. So coming full circle, experiencing the world around me through the past years, offering nothing that really locked onto my heart. I'm really pleased that I'm enrolled as a student. I'll be doing the same thing as I did as a young child, looking after the horses, cleaning their kit, going to the tack room, but then the second year will be a little bit more academic. So I'll be right in my element.
When do you come back?
I don't know.
Because you're developing it.
I could return tomorrow if I had a place to go to.
Yeah, but you're developing this Pommy accent.
Yeah.
You don't sound like you're from Australia.
I think Canberra people, where I went to school, have very international accents anyway. But of course, over the years, I've been away from Australia quite a long time. It's flattened out.
Yeah, we'll have to when you come back, we'll tie you down and pour all this Australian accent over.
Lasumi.
Just quickly about your songwriting, because I know it must be an escape for you in a way of putting your feelings into words.
Yeah, I suggest everyone put pen to paper during this difficult time and express yourself any way you can. Get together as a community. Cambridge Community Arts, I held on to my status as an art student for quite some time, and this is where I became a songwriter. I was doing a music for performance course just as COVID hit, so we only got halfway through. But that was the first time I had a microphone in my hand and went to a recording studio, and my little dog's tapping around here, and put words on paper into a song at a recording studio, which was a wonderful experience. And now we can use AI and cut all the corners and just work from home. It's wonderful. wonderful opportunity.
And it can't replace the actual live performance of an artist, but I have to tell you, I am, my past history. I worked at various radio stations around the world, playing music. I was a bit of a naughty boy in those days, but and I am so impressed with forget them, the music's beautiful and stuff, but the songwriting is songwriting, whether it's for a live band or for yourself using other tools. It is just pure talent, and you are a very talented person. If somebody wanted to find out more about you, Maira, how would they do that?
Oh, thank you. I have an email address, alpine Brumbies, with my rebellious streak. It's a YS, not an IES, alpine Brumbies @gmail.com. And then you can look me up on social media if you can get through to me.
So
I'd
we
love
can
to
at
hear
the
from you.
moment, but anyone under the age of 116, 16, you're going to have trouble unless you can verify your age, or just do what everybody else has done and use their parents' login details. But don't tell the government that part, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Otherwise they'll be very disturbed that there are ways around it, which has been discovered anyway. Maira, it's been fantastic talking to you. I'm going to play you another song. This is just, I think, a very beautiful track. Thank you so much. We'll do this more often. I appreciate your time. Now, you should be in bed. What time is it there, by the way?
It's near 11.
Oh, that's okay.
And I'm burning the midnight oil. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the invitation. I look forward to returning. And my music is free, so everyone can get on board and help themselves to what's on social media at the moment. And also, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Carol from my school days. She used to come and visit my horse with me when we were kids. Her artwork of the beautiful Brumbies is on the first song that you played tonight. I haven't seen Carol since we left high school, but she lived in Adaminaby and taken all those beautiful pictures of the wild Brumbies that we've lost. So that's a homage to her. Thank you, Carol.
Very sad, isn't it? Very sad. It does. I feel I have to sort of block it out at the moment because I well up and I become a blubbering mess. Because I think it's, when someone said stop being so emotional, to that person again I say get stuffed, because we this is besides the fact that the horses do not do that damage and it is all make believe and propaganda. The emotion is, and it needs to, we need to have that emotion because it makes us who we are, makes us people. And to see what is happening to our heritage and to beautiful animals, there simply is no excuse. And that's, what more can you say? Maira, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up with you soon. This is the Country Telegraph.
The horses that raise me.
I was only 5 years old, with little boots upon my feet, when I saw them on the mountain, running wild and running free. The wind danced through their manes like a song upon the breeze. And somehow in their presence I found the strength in me.
When I was scared and lonely and the world felt cold and gray, I'd climb up to the ridges and watch the Brumbies play. They never spoke a single word, yet somehow we understood. They taught me how to stand up tall and showed me life was good.
Don't take away the horses that raised me. Don't silence the thunder I've known all my life. They're part of my story. They're part of my heartbeat. They're woven
Still searching for the peace I found beside those mountain streams. They carried all my memories across the valleys wide. Every hope and every fear, they seem to walk beside.
Now I'm standing as a woman, looking at the hills today, and the fear inside is breaking me as they're being taken away. The mountains feel much quieter, the sky no longer sings, and every distant helicopter feels like it's chasing dreams. Don't take away the horses that raise me. Don't silence the thunder I've known all my life. They're part of my story. They're part of my heartbeat. They're woven like stars through the dark of the night. I grew up beside them. They helped me keep going when tears filled my eyes and I wanted to hide. Don't take away the horses that raise me. Please let my Brumbies survive. How do I explain to the child I once was that the friend she adored may be gone? How do I tell her the mountain she loved could wake to a sorrowful dawn? I still see them running like shadows of gold, and I pray they'll keep running long after I'm old. Don't take away the horses that raise me. Don't take away the peace that they gave. They're more than a memory, more than a photograph, more than a name on a page. They taught me courage, they taught me compassion, they taught me that freedom's alive. Don't take away the horses that raise me. Please let my Brumbies survive. I was only 5 years old when they first ran into my heart, and no matter what tomorrow brings, we'll never truly part.
Maira Kay, and I just think it's beautiful, and it actually sums up her growing up in the Snowy Mountains region. And if you are looking for inspiration, that and other songs are just brilliant. Gary Duffy's farm has a focus on growing plants for medicinal uses like gumby, emu apple, which I've not had yet. Gary, thank you for sending them to me, and moringa. And contrary to that meme that I've seen of me smoking a moringa cigar, apparently you can't. I just thought I'd let Gary know that one. We're continuing in last week's conflab about pesticides in every use in Australia that are banned overseas. And you do have to wonder about the industry regulator and whose interests they are serving. Gary Duffy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mike. And if I get a bit emotional today, forgive me. Our dog was not a good outcome, yes, sir.
Very, very sad to hear that.
But we're going to get through, and it's related to insecticide, pesticide, herbicide poisoning. So, and the things that have been going on. Some of our neighbours use herbicides and insecticides like their water, and it's just one of those things. It's a good interview you did yesterday with Dr. Cathy Owen. She was right on the money with everything that's going on, and how what happens in rural Australia, and there's a lot of linkages between a lot of depression and that in rural areas, and I think Cathy quoted you some numbers which are pretty close, 25 per 100 in rural areas as against 9.9 in city areas. But when you have a look at the factor of that is that a lot of the major use of insecticides and herbicides, which are definitely 100% linked to depression and to cancer rates and depression, and in rural areas, no one really takes into consideration of, and especially with the Australian veterinary ABPMA, don't take the farm animals as such, like your dogs and that, into consideration when they make these decisions on chemicals. So I think they forget that the ABPMA don't understand that if someone's spraying pesticides and chemicals around, your dog's going to walk on that ground, they're going to roll on it, they're going to lick themselves, they're going to clean themselves, they're going to lick their paws and everything else, and they're going to get poisoned by it. There's a lot of things like that that aren't taken into consideration when the ABPMA approve some of these, a lot of these chemicals which are banned in many of the OECD countries.
Tell me, and by the way, I'm very sorry about your dog. It's terrible. Tell me about paraquat. Now, I'll just rewind for a second. Hang on. We have played at times a guy from South Australia who has stage 4 bowel cancer and attributed to Roundup, glyphosates, and that, and then you see paraquat. And the other day we got a bit excited. We thought, oh wow, they're going to not have paraquat available, but it still is available, isn't it? Tell us the story with that.
Well, the company that made paraquat was a UK-based company, and anyhow, so they've been sued, I think, because of the causal effect of Parkinson's and other neurological diseases in humans. It also causes the same issues with animals, with your family pet, and more so in rural areas because that's where it's used. So they've been sued, and they cited that they were stopping production of it in July this year, but 90% of the paraquat that was coming into Australia comes from China, which is made off-label type thing, that I think you'd call it off-label, by companies in China, and it's banned in China, so you can't use it in China, but it's banned in China. But it's okay to ship it out of China into Australia, and there might be a bit of swallowing going on here because I'm trying to. But the thing is that why do we have an ABPMA, which is basically gets assesses applications for the use of chemicals and pesticides and herbicides on studies done by the company? They don't do it. They don't do it on independent studies. The main focus of their approval is based on the company's own presentation and what the company presents to the ABPMA, and I think that's wrong. I think pesticide and herbicides approvals should be based on independent studies, and the study material should, funding for these studies should come from a pool of funds that are blind trusts, so that you don't know who put that money in, and then that study is done through universities as to find out what the real facts are, and companies should be obliged to full disclosure of all their own findings, and that be supplied to universities and that to study, and that's not being done. You always see that. I know we bang on about Bill Gates and everyone, but he's an easy target and stuff like this, but we use him as a sample, so because he does stupid stuff, so to speak. So he'll put Gates Foundation funds studying mosquitoes or fund studies into this and everything else. And then they go and make an application for the same product that they were funding the studies for to get the approval on to the ABPMA, and the ABPMA looks at mostly that study that was done by the company that was presenting it, and that's just wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting. This guy I mentioned has stage 4 bowel cancer. He grabbed 2 bottles of wine, a cheaper one and a more expensive one, and got them tested. And both came back with glyphosates in that, and I think paraquat might have been there too. I don't understand why, in this day and age, when most of the world says stop using these, why this country just ignores it. It still goes ahead. So if they got paraquat there and they got a Roundup, it's not just killing the weeds, it's eventually going to kill people. And for the environment, for animals in the environment, it's not particularly good either, is it?
No, it's not. And you talk about the bottles of wine, and I'm really your friend's story is quite typical in rural Australia. Is that toxic poisoning, and that in rural Australia is quite high. But we just had a full shipment of maize rejected by China, right? So a full shipment of maize went to China, was rejected by China because the residual amount of glyphosate in the shipment was too high. So that gives you an indication of the level of glyphosate use that is going on in Australia, when you can load it onto a ship, send it over to China, and when it lands in China, they test it and they find that, well, hang on, there's too much glyphosate in this, we're sending it back to you. So it gives you an indication of the level of misuse of chemicals in Australia, for the quick kill to knock the plant down so that we can harvest the maize, so that we can send it off to somewhere else. And I'm not going to name anyone, but there was a farmer up north that used to go to his farm, and he used to get baits and he used to put the baits up on the top of his banana trees with a nail to kill bats and possums and everything else that came into his banana trees. And his whole plantation was just full of dead animals. And I don't know how someone can do that, you know, that was just disgraceful, the goings on there, that you're using chemicals like that and baits like that is just incredibly selfish for the animals and the environment that we're in. But things like paraquat and that, which is totally linked to Parkinson's disease and with comorbid depression. And then we have a look at Australia, where Australia sits in the world, is that we're in the top 3 countries in the world with suicide and depression in rural Australia, and we're also the top 3 users of chemicals that are not used or that are banned overseas. So in like 28 or 30 of the OECD countries, Australia is just using these chemicals that cause absolute studies overseas cause depression and we have these high suicide rates. The other thing, to us it matters a lot because our farm here is as a result of we purchased it after someone had taken their life. And like, I know that if you're suffering depression or something like that, please ring Lifeline 13 11 14, and you know, but have a look at the underlying causes of it, and a lot of it comes back to the overuse of chemicals. Is a high trigger point for depression in rural Australia. That canine lymphoma in rural areas is 68% higher in rural areas than in city areas. So you've got cancers in dogs. They're 68% higher in rural dogs than in the city dogs, and canine lymphoma is directly linked to the chemicals. Yet the ABPMA don't look at that, you know. And so the way the ABPMA funds get their funding, the way that they assess studies, and the way they approve some of these chemicals for rural areas needs to be overhauled or reviewed, and there needs to be a complete review of how the ABPMA operate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. We are going to run out of time. I've got 1,000 questions here. If I don't ask some of those, you know that my life will be very shortened after the program. So we'll try and bring them all together. Forever chemicals, PFAS, what are they? I mean, just in a fairly succinct way or manner, what are they?
I've got a site in mine about PFAS, and on my I got a Facebook site where I run about PFAS exposed and stuff like that, where I try to list up all the incidents of PFAS over the last, I think it's nearly 10 years I've been putting it up. So I get it. It's a forever chemical. It's forever in your body. It's becomes a nanoparticle in your body. It's a bioaccumulative. That means that if you keep having it, it keeps adding. Your body can't get rid of it. That there's been studies found that you'll find it in fruit and vegetables inside or under the skin after, especially with sprays, especially the the latest one they've found was that they want a proof for berries and strawberries and blueberries is that they say, oh yeah, but you can get rid of it if you wash your blueberries, strawberries and blackberries in vinegar or in bicarb soda before you eat it. So you know, who's going to wash their blueberries, blackberries and strawberries in vinegar before you eat it? It's just nuts, you know. But PAFS is thrown off as something that's in the bottom of your fry pan, but it's not. They're putting it in just about everything that comes on, and that's coming into the shelf and everything else, and it's finding its way into places that it should never be in. It's getting in your water, it's getting in everything, you know, and your body cannot get rid of it. It just bioaccumulative, and that's why it's called a forever chemical. It's getting in the soil, it's getting in everything that we just really killing the planet with chemicals and that, and it's just we're not leaving this planet in a good, you know, with a good tick of approval for our next generations.
No, we're not, and I think we should hang our head in shame. I was going to ask you about 1080. We haven't got any time, but I'll play a spot right after this this conversation about 1080 and how they use that even in the Kosciuszko National Park. You would think that's a haven for animals. It's not. It's almost like a murder scene, and it's just terrible. I think, or a morgue or a cemetery of beautiful dead animals.
Yeah, that's what the guy was using in his banana trees. It's just terrible. You know, he nailed the 1080 up in the banana tree, up above the bunch, and flying foxes and that come in, they eat the 1080, and possums and everything else come in, they eat the 1080 and everything. Birds come in, they eat 1080. And you go down his farm, his rows in between his trees are just full of dead animals.
And it's a terrible death too. Gary, I'm sorry for cutting you short. It's past our time. One day they're going to have this chair I'm sitting on plugged into the PowerPoint. So next.
One thing I'll say is that, like, you know, a farmer asking chemical companies for advice on how to grow good fresh food is like a pig asking an abattoir for a good healthy diet for a long life, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah, totally agree. If somebody wants to find out more about you, Gary, how do they do that?
Just find me online under on Facebook under Bunya Park Moringa.
Good on you. And again, very sad to hear the news. I know how much you can become very attached to your dog. Look at me, it took me 5 years to get over my last dog, still haven't gotten over it. And they are your best mate, and they're part of your family.
Yeah,
Gary,
vet said that they usually get 1 or 2 a year. She's getting 3 a week.
Oh, that's bad. Actually, we'll do that. We'll talk about that next time. That's an atrocious statistic. Gary Duffy, thank you very much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
So many places where they're using 1080 poison baits.
Yeah, it's an absolute travesty, mate.
It really is.
1080 baits, if you've seen what a 1080 bait does to a dog, it's one of the most horrific things you'll ever witness. And the second you see something like that, you'll be a big advocate for getting rid of 1080 baits. It's not the way to solve the problem with wild dogs and foxes and things like that.
On Sunday, August the 30th, I got a phone call from my husband. I wasn't here, I was out in Aramac staying with family. And he rang me very distressed and crying on the phone and told me that Tippy was dead. And he then described to me how that happened. He said he was inside, heard Tippy outside yelping, which progressively rapidly went to screaming, and he was thrashing him, throwing himself around. He went under my car, which is parked on the veranda in a carport, threw himself under the car and up under the wheel arch, obviously looking for sanctuary. Greg tried to grab him and got hold of his leg, and as he did that he just dropped dead. So he rang me and told me about this, so I was obviously quite distraught as well, and then he had to go into town, into Bundaberg, to pick up for a pre-arranged appointment, and when he came home a couple of hours later, Faye, our Maremma dog, was also dead. So within a couple of hours, we're not sure, any time between 9:30 and midday is when she died on that morning. So yeah, Greg took them to bury them, and he took Ted with him when he buried these two dogs, and Ted was there with him, and after Greg finished burying them, he wouldn't leave. He just laid, he sat, moved around, he wouldn't leave the gravesite, so Greg had to literally pick him up and take him away. So he knew his mates were in there. So yeah, sorry.
1080 is not a humane poison, and despite people's claims that it is humane, we now recognise that that's not the case. It's not good enough to pretend to ourselves that it's humane and keep on doing the same old thing that we've been doing for years. There's no excuse to keep on using a poison that is not humane and that we know is not humane.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. You heard that wow in the background. That's our next guest, which will be joining us shortly. And wow is probably the understatement of the year. It's terrible. And what they're doing to the animals at Kosciuszko National Park. And I saw a video yesterday of this person just driving in the national park, and the bully boy tactics from the Kosciuszko National Park Hoon Squad, looks like a militia from Ukraine, are just dreadful. They are just absolute poor excuses for human beings. Anyway, before we get into our next guest, I want to play a couple of things first of all. So Lynette, if you can just hang in there. Some of the news that's making news around Australia: 7 suspected H5 bird flu cases have been detected in greater crested terns on South Australia's limestone coast. Supermarket giants Woolies and Coles have agreed to price increases across key fruit and vegetable categories, helping to ease pressure on growers hit by a surging cost in fertiliser and fuel since the outbreak of war in the Middle East. You know, that one that was going to finish in 3 days. Penfolds has halted all bin 407 shipments to China for 3 months to combat grey market discounting that has eroded the luxury wine brand's prestige. Nice drop too. Must go to China to buy some. Apparently it's pretty cheap at the moment. And finally, patrons along one of the Gold Coast most loved dining strips got a real eyeful last Friday night when a group of nude blokes came streaking past. Apparently it wasn't cold. The evidence was right in front of them. The dozen or so men were seen spilling out of a ute, as you do, naked, on the corner of Breaker Street. Breaker. There's a bunch of nude blokes around here in Main Beach. Now, Main Beach, by the way, is a very posh part of the Goldie. And to see those nude men, I could imagine some of the poor old dears over the Belty going, "Oh dear, my heart." Now, this may have followed the day before, by the way, when a local butcher in Main Beach came over the hill with his meat wagon. Now, that weather, by the way, could change if you mention the word barbecue, or a couple of words, barbecue, or Barbie, or wash the car, those words, it'll pour down. Forget El Nino, it's going to rain if you mention those words. Instant Polls is our official sponsor. If you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff, and gather valuable data from your most important resource, that's your employees, then don't forget to visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. Now, this week's poll on the Country Telegraph is, do you want the Brumby cull to stop immediately? I do. Everybody that I know would love it to stop right now, before it's too late. Now, just use the QR code on our screen to vote. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. You will have a week to vote before the result is broadcast on the Country Telegraph after 8 a.m. next Tuesday. Now, the link will also be published on our Facebook page this morning. Share the link and ask your family and friends to participate, because it's a nice way of testing the temperature out on particular issues. This poll is very important. It's a very, very important poll, so please vote and make your opinion count. Coming up very shortly, we'll talk about horses and rehoming and all that sort of stuff. But first up, I want to play this track. This is Billy D. We had Billy D on last week, and I believe she's on tomorrow again. Magnificent person, not just a singer, but a great person. This is Billy Dean and Save Our Brumbies.
Among the Brumbies, hear the wild call of the land. My heart breaks open softly as their breath falls on my hand. They've been here for 200 years, doing what wild horses do, healing country, holding stories, loving me and loving you. But now they stand in terror as the choppers fill the sky, and the bullets keep on falling, and they run and they die. Oh, please let our Brumbies live, let the wild ones still run free, for the shooting only wounds the land and you and me. The hills are quiet, empty, there's a trembling in the ground. You know this kind of sorrow doesn't fade, it lingers round. The blood sinks deep in silence, leaves a stain we cannot see, but the earth, she holds the memory of what was and what will be. There was a stallion strong and watchful, with a mane like wind and flame, and his mare so soft and gentle, each one knowing her own name. Such a family in the wild, such a life they wore each day. Tell me why we choose destruction when there is another way. Oh, please stop the shooting now, there's still another way. If you'd only pause and listen to what the people say. Oh, please hear us now, we're calling out in pain. Let the Brumbies run forever through the sun and through the rain.
Welcome to the Country Telegraph. That's Billy D, or Billy Dean, on tomorrow, I hope. Otherwise I'll get boxed in the ears for getting that wrong too. Lynette Sutton is the founder of Hoofs 2010, which began back in 2010 when her daughter Stephanie begged her to make a change to the outcome for horses removed from the bush. Lynette's very first Brumby rescue was 15 young ones, which then led to another 5 heavily pregnant mares that foaled soon after. All of these horses were successfully rehomed with Brumby-loving Australians. Lynette has a deep passion for the lives of Brumbies, and she used that passion to fuel her fight for their right to survive, and is concerned about the false media that profiles the wild horses as having a negative impact on the environment. Lynette, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to chat with you today.
It's a bit horrible what they're doing to these beautiful creatures. I mean, I've not ever seen such disdain for life. I just don't understand them.
I think it's a conditioning that's happened over a very long time, where instead of referring to them as wild horses, which they are, the picture of feral in most people's minds paints something unworthy, something that's an issue, something that's a problem and not worthy of having life. So whilst they may have been 200 years ago feral horses, they're certainly not that now. They're wild horses. Survival of the fittest over the years. They've become a right in their own as Australia's wild horses, or Brumbies.
Interesting, we had Dr. Arian Wallach on yesterday, who's an ecologist and has a whole long list of credentials and done magnificent things for those poor animals, for animals around the world, in particular Australia. And she was saying that, first of all, Australia used to be a big animal population. They had this big animal population. We had giant wombats and stuff like that. And that used to manage, that was there for, you would think hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And then we're now at the end, we're part of the aftermath of what happened to the planet. Whatever happened to the planet and all those big animals, most of them have gone. We still have horses and stuff, but most of those big animals are no longer there. And Arian was saying that it is a misconception. There is no evidence to show at all that the horses hurt the environment and that they're doing the damage that they say they're doing. There is no evidence at all that the cats are doing this to the environment, the foxes are doing it to the environment, because it's just there's just no evidence. And same thing with the dingoes. Again, there is no evidence. The same thing with the donkeys in WA. There's no evidence, but still, they come out with the propaganda and a bit of anecdotal evidence to say that these animals are terrible. Look at the big animal, big horse. It's going to kill the environment. It's going to squash the corroboree frog. I mean, it's just all BS. And you know horses, and you know full well that they do a lot of good for the environment, not the damage that the government is saying that they do.
Look, horses are passive graziers. They don't destroy seeds in their digestion. So they're a way of carrying those seeds to other areas. And if, the powers to be want to say, well, they're spreading weeds, they can only spread weeds that are already there in that environment that's so badly mismanaged. So if we looked at the positives that the graziers bring to the bird life, use their furs for nesting, you'll find frogs and other animals living in manure, in dung piles. The pudging makes a natural environmental pot plant holder, so the horse walks through moist land, the seeds are blown, land in that pot plant, it fills with water, the seed grows in that pudging. So there are positives that we use in our everyday life that the horses do naturally. I think what's happened is that, they need a scapegoat, and the horses are visual. You won't see pigs or deer. You go to the national park, you won't see many native animals at all. But the horses are visual, they're big, they're there, and that gives them the right to say, well, this invasive species, mind you, the species we brought with us invasive people to this country and mismanaged. I can speak for 17 years of sitting with parks and writing submissions and meeting with government officials and protesting and everything else. 17 years of saying, hey, there is another way we can do this. 17 years for the problem to escalate to the only resolve they have is to eradicate a very beautiful and natural species that lives on our land, and a species that helped not only make this country what it is today, it also helped to defend the shores. And we can't say that about a pig or a deer. So the animal has earned the right to have respectful management.
It has indeed, and we're going to play a song after this, by the way, which we play almost every day. It's about the battle for Beersheba. So it's about that. So we'll play that after that, because the horse is a great part of our history, and I sort of think what they're trying to do, because the ISC, along with the New South Wales government, federal and other state governments that are under the banner of the Labor Party, they're trying to rewrite our history, and the joint at the hip with the United Nations, who are trying to rewrite the history of the planet. So we do have some major issues that are just rearing their ugly head, and if people think it's a conspiracy theory, they just need to go back into a newspaper about a week or 2 weeks ago, and they'd see that the federal government has said that 2030 is our agenda, which is terrible. How long have you been fighting this battle for the battle to save the Brumby?
17 years. I'm turning 70 this year. I thought it would be under control by this point.
You don't look a day over, by the way.
Oh, well, thanks for that. Must be living with the wild horses that keeps me young.
You're only as young as you feel.
I can tell you sometimes I definitely feel 7.
Well, you don't look, and you're doing a great job. So make sure you don't fall off the perch just yet, please.
Look, no. I'm not going to do that. I have too much to finish before I fall off the perch.
Good on you. Tell me about Hoofs 2010.
Okay, so when we first started, early 2010, we chose the name of Save the Brumbies. Which we weren't aware, because we weren't involved in the Brumby world, that there was already a group called that. So we had to think about something that was independent and us. So that's where Hoofs derived, because it stands for helping our old friends survive. That's sort of, those words came to make Hoofs in the incorrect spelling. And 2010 was the year we realised that it wasn't something. It was too big for just somebody to pick up and say, oh, I'm going to rescue horses, because, as much as people don't realise, there is so much money needed to do that, to do it properly and to do it long term. So we incorporated and became a registered charity, and we've worked really hard over the last 17 years to get to where we are now. Have we made mistakes? My God, yes. But they've all been stepping stones and learning curves to try and get to the best possible we can offer to the wild horses that are in our care.
What about two things here, sponsoring, and secondly, the lack of action or help from the government?
Well, it was about 2021, and after doing rehoming over 250 wild horses, we realised that, sometimes the rescued needs rescuing again. And as we were using donated funds, and something my mother said to me when I was very young is an animal's a life commitment. So we decided that, or we realised that the boomerang policy was something that had to be. We just could not do that. So if an animal needed to come back to sanctuary, it always could, which then led to, I only had personally 10 acres, wasn't enough to make a life sanctuary. So we started the fundraising to buy land for the charity that belonged to the horses. We raised half that money. We were lucky that the property that we purchased came on the market. We made a ridiculous offer, a lot less than it was up for, and that offer was accepted. We had our private financier lend us the other half of the money, so we paid half the property up front with the $3,000 we'd raised. 300,000, sorry, not 3,000. I wish it was 3,000. I'd buy another 500 acres. And then, so our sponsorship program, what that does is we have a mortgage now. We have infrastructure that we need to do. We had to fence the property, put in water tanks, get the old dams cleaned. There's lots of expenses, our public liability, fixing the cabin so when I do kick the bucket, somebody can live in the cabin quite comfortably and normally. I've lived here I've been staying here for quite some time without running water, without heating, without power, which are all things we're working on now. So the sponsorship money helps us meet that mortgage. It secures the horses for life, which is what it is. So we have our very first mares that we rescued are here in sanctuary. They're in their 20s now. And they have life sanctuary. We've taken quite a few horses from other people, not ones that we've rescued, but others have rescued. And something's happened in the life where they can't remain. They haven't adapted to domestic life and they need sanctuary. So we have 52 horses here now. And unfortunately, our doors are closed because to be responsible, we need to make sure that we can feed and care for the animals that we have. I think what we've done here is a validation that there's two sides of rescue. There's rescue and rehome, but those rescue and rehomers also need the backup of life sanctuaries, which is where the government could step in, giving Crown land to groups to utilise as sanctuaries so that the people that are on the front line doing the rescue at the moment have a backup for those animals that aren't suitable for the rehoming program or need long-term sanctuary. And at those sanctuaries is where we share the wild horses and the wonder of the wild horses with tourism and visitors and so on. So there's a way with a minimal amount of government funding. I mean, God knows, over 17 years we haven't had a brass razoo. And I can tell you how many how much money they've spent on round tables where all your expenses are paid and everyone went and we sat and we chatted and talked about the issues. Wasted money because none of those round tables over the 17 years I can think of ever produced any positive outcome other than we referred to the horses as wild horses, not feral horses.
I know, which is terrible. The psychology or the propaganda that they build up about feral animals, it's enough to make you want to go punch a hole in a wall sometimes. Harrow Sanctuary, the name. Tell me about that.
Well, Harrow's the little town we're in, which is, I might add, is the most amazing little town. There's less than 100 people living here. The environment is beautiful. The people are so welcoming and so happy to have the horses living here. At first they were a little bit scared. They thought, oh my God, all these wild horses coming and they'll be jumping fences and they'll be in our properties and in our crops. But they absolutely love them. Tourism, we're having a lot of visitors from all over come and stay. Eventually we hope to be set up so that we can accommodate, make some little camping corrals out in the property where they can come and be with the horses. Sadly, we do need corrals because these Brumbies are now so used to humans that they're invasive. They're into your tools, they're into your shed, they're into your clothing. They have no fear whatsoever of humans because they've never had to. So it's an animal that is just so passive and so giving. I took, just for an example, the elderly gentleman that originally owned this property. He was born here, he's 5th, 6th generation. He's 92 and he hadn't been on the property since he sold it a long time ago. And someone brought him to visit us and I said, would you like to go for a drive and see the Brumbies? And he said, oh yeah, of course I would. And as we drove around the property, he told me where he used to ride his bike and his father had built a cabin on the hill for a French soldier who was homeless, and there was an old piece of machinery buried here and there's springs there. And we stopped at the top and we got mobbed. I think that was the day I lost my aerial for my UHF. I haven't found it yet. It's somewhere in the paddock. But he had his window down, and one of the young fillies, a 2-year-old, one of our little Barmer girls, just came and stuck her head in the window. And he said, "Oh," he said, "they're not really wild horses, are they?" I said, "No, sadly they've had to put up with me for the last few years, so they're not wild horses now."
It's amazing. The animals are just beautiful creatures. They don't want to hurt you, unless it's a defensive mechanism. And the horse itself, I mean, they're featured in every good thing around the world in history. And it just seems to me that the government and the ISC and stuff have lost the plot entirely, or they do have the plot, as that my dad would say, the plot thickens, and they are they just trying to rewrite history? Are they trying to get rid of all the good things? Because you can't be saying that the horse is doing the damage it is doing, knowing full well it's a lie, unless there's another ulterior motive. And but the end result is still the same, so we need to stop that. Dr. Gus Cothran, I think his name is, at Texas University.
Yes.
He's a specialist in his genetic field. Let me read this. To be included in the world's wild horses genetic database. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So that was something that was originally started by a gentleman called Richard Crispin, who sadly passed away quite some time ago. And Richard had a passion for the whaler. And in 2000, I think it was 2014, we met and we talked about including the Australian wild horse in that database as well. So I've tested over 380 horses now, which I might add, because a lot of people will pull me up on that, it's an ancestry test for what the first 3 genetic hits are. That does not mean that that horse is actually that genetics. To test that further is a whole lot of money and funding that we don't have. So it gives an idea of, I will say, I can now make clusters. So I've tested so many horses from Barmer, and I've tested so many horses from Bago, that I can see I don't know what a match of, I can look at a test and go, oh yeah, I reckon that's horses from that area. And usually it turns out that it is, because there's some areas that don't have the modern breeds in them. They have early pre-1949 hits. So to be absolutely accurate would mean taking that sample and doing further testing to get the percentages of what those old lines are. But it's a very worthy project. I know that the Snowy Brumby Horse Register have been doing a lot of work here with Brandon Valley. It's something that needs funding. I think that to be the kind of person that accepts whatever somebody tells you as correct is where we're failing, because most Australians look and someone says, oh, this is happening, and we all go, okay, yeah, that is. I was a brat at school. I was always kicked out of the classroom because I never accepted everything as gospel. I always questioned and, shut up, Lynette, stop asking questions. Like, I wanted to know the answers to all of that. So when I started doing the rescue with the Brumbies, I realised there was more research needed. So it was, I looked at KMP. Well, we want to return it to its natural state, but most of the plains have been heavily mined. And now we're seeing infrastructure for man. We're seeing walking tracks. We're seeing Snowy 2. We're seeing extensions on ski resorts. We've got electric cabling and wiring and towers all the way through the national park. You can't return something that you've already changed. And the horses have been a part of that change in 200 years. So we don't have the foresight to go, okay, we've removed all the horses. Now what the hell is going to happen in that national park? Because a drastic change in any environment is usually a negative. It's not a positive. And which is why if you look at, oh my God, old age.
Are you referring to me or you?
Oh, me. I have those blank moments. I know what it's called. Do you think the words will come? It's not funny. It's
But it'll
really
come
quite
out later.
embarrassing.
You watch it
It
midnight.
will when I finish.
That's what it is.
When I finish, and I'll go, damn, that's what it is.
But we understand what you mean, sort of, Lynette. But
Kind of.
but you know what though, you're doing a truly. I mean, you're doing an absolutely magnificent job. Now,
Thank you, Mum.
now I said hoofs before. See, there you are. There's a person who doesn't know the front end or back end of a horse properly. Is it hoofs or hooves?
Well,
Hoofs a bit
hoof is
posh.
a word, but hooves is the plural. So ours is incorrectly spelt for hooves, Mike.
Good on you. I'm really confused. And the best thing would be that people, and they can donate. I would imagine. How do they donate to the to Hooves or to Harrow Sanctuary?
Okay. So usually probably best is through the website, or we have pretty active Facebook pages. We have a fundraising page. We have our page where we like to share pretty much every day what's going on, because we feel so grateful to the people that have supported us, especially over a 17-year period, that sometimes we think, oh, we do a video of feeding out our rounds of hay, and I think, oh, that's just so, it's so boring. But at the end of the day, we're sharing the lives of these horses with the people who make sure they're safe. So it's about being active and being a part of what goes on here pretty much every day. So website's usually good. You can use PayPal. Bank details are there as well. Take up a membership, take up a sponsorship. If you see a horse you like and you think, yeah, I wouldn't mind, $15 a week. Or actually, that's a sort of around the price of a bale of hay. We're happy for $5 a week. It's, everything comes together. The animals are first priority, and when we raise a little bit extra, we're getting jobs done that need to be done here at the sanctuary. So, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And we know that, I think we talked about it before, and I've always talked about it, that the horse is such an important part of our history. And you go right back to the Battle of Beersheba, the charge of the light horsemen, and which a movie was made. And I'll play that after this. Absolutely fascinating talking with you. We do need to learn a lot more of respect for these animals. We do need to appreciate who we were and where we're going. And I think if we don't recognise our history, I think we're in trouble, because that is what determines our future. As for all the atrocities that are happening to these beautiful creatures, and even there's the donkeys in WA and stuff who are highly intelligent and been proven that they are not doing the damage. As with the horses, I think to those who are perpetrating this atrocity, I think your day will come. And after seeing a video, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, Lynette, this lady was driving through an open gate.
I did see that.
I mean, truly, if you ever wanted to see what's happened to, or wanted to see a militia from Ukraine, truly they were just dreadful creatures, these humans, and they were intimidatory. The guy was quite intimidating to her. The others, one guy had no teeth. I think none of them had any teeth, but they were very, very bad people, and they ought to hang their heads in shame. But that's what the national park has become at the moment. It's become a haven for the.
It's a war zone. It's a war zone.
And that's why these.
And my belief is you can slap people down so many times, but one day, and that day I see a rising now that hasn't been there for the last 17 years. I see young people, I see people from all different walks of life stepping up now to say this is not right. And, it's going to get bigger, the fight's going to get stronger. Even if we don't win, we'll certainly be letting them know that it's not right what they're doing. And we might have been silenced all these years because we didn't have the media access that the government has. We didn't have the funding the government has. But people are starting to rise up. And it's amazing to see all the new people on the block doing all this hard work. I'm too old to be buggered, to be honest. I'm flat out here looking after the horses. So
Yeah,
that's my excuse.
That's what it is, an excuse. Lynette Sutton, we could talk forever, but we can't because Rachel's been waiting, and I want
thank
to
you
play
so
this
much.
song beforehand. Thank you so much for your time. This is...
No, thank you.
They carried stockmen. They carried soldiers. They carried legends from Beersheba to the mountains of the high country. The thunder herd still rides. Skies and snow gums bow in winter light. 1,000 shadows cross the dawn, their wild hearts burning through the night. Their blood remembers campfire smoke, long dusty trails and stockmen's hands. The freedom of a younger world still running through this ancient land. Listen. The mountains know their language. Listen. The valleys speak their names. They are the thunder rolling beneath the southern sky. From Beersheba's fields of glory to the mountains standing high, no chains can hold them. No walls can tame them. The spirit of the light horse rides. They are the thunder, and the mountains know their names. Across the burning Sinai sands, they carry fate in steady hands. Through dust and fire they thundered on toward Beersheba's fateful dawn. Horse and rider forged as one, a rolling wave against the guns. The desert shook beneath their stride as Australia rose in pride. They are the thunder rolling beneath the southern sky. From Beersheba's fields of glory to the mountains standing high, no chains can hold them, no walls can tame them. The spirit of the light horse ride. They are the thunder, and the mountains know their name. And standing on the highest ridges, when the world below is gone to sleep, the ancient stallions face the darkness, guarding secrets they still keep. They remember every stockman, every drover, every mountain horseman, every charge, every rider who never came home, every horse who carried him there. Ride on. Ride on. Ride on. They are the thunder. to the high country. The thunder herd still rides.
And indeed we must. We must save the Brumbies. It's not just saving a horse, it's saving who we are. And to allow any more of these, the senseless killings, the based on lies, is just got to stop. Okay, this week's poll on the Country Telegraph is, do you want the Brumby cull to stop immediately? Of course I do, and Rachel does, and many others do. You can place your vote just by going to our to that little QR code on the bottom of the screen. You'll see, just put your phone up there or go to Facebook or whatever, even go to a website, the QR code is there, and just place your vote and tell the government what the majority of Australians should be saying at the moment. And in this case, many are just totally oblivious to what is happening. Rachel McDonald is a proud Wiradjuri woman, environmental professional, data and analytics specialist, and founder of Telgarth Farm and member of New Dawn Safe Haven. Over the past 2 years, she has personally rescued 6 Brumby foals, including foals as young as 3 days old, and has welcomed 4 foals at Telgarth Farm in the past 8 months, one who was just 24 hours old, and have been supported by New Dawn. She also rescues thoroughbreds and other animals in need, believing environmental stewardship, evidence-based decision-making and compassionate animal welfare can and should work together. Rachel, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Mike. And one day you'll get it right. It's Wiradjuri.
I know, isn't it terrible? I mean, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get belted across the ears later on again. But you didn't wait this time. Just go kabang. There we go again.
Oh, we just come straight out there and say it.
I'm a terrible person. I'll go and stand in the naughty corner later. Okay. Hey, just quickly before we get into this, an aerial count yesterday took place, and sort of not clear on the context or the numbers, but Shannon Byrne, who was a witness on board the aircraft, was very disappointed by what he saw, or rather what he did not see. Shannon was expecting to see at least 1,000 horses. However, very few were seen in the north of the Kosciuszko National Park. In your mind, this would obviously mean an obliteration, an annihilation of these animals.
Exactly. And this is what they're after, a total extinction of these beautiful horses in the park. So Shannon's emotion yesterday in the videos, if anybody did see that, it was very clear that he was devastated, that they only saw in total for the day a maximum of 93 horses. Between 86 and 93. Now, that count needs to be verified. That was their personal visualised count, but it was all recorded, which will be put into an AI platform or similar, so they will actually do some counting. Now, just for context, though, Mike, they did fly over the retention zones, which are supposed to, according to the legislation that's still in play until 2027, yes, there's supposed to be 3,000 horses there. And they didn't see more than 100 across all of those retention zones, which is what we've all been saying for a very long time.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible, isn't it? And I don't know. I do know that Shannon is a very honest person, and those on the plane are doing it entirely for the survival of these beautiful creatures. But it does show you, and you've probably seen the video too of that lady that was driving into the Kosciuszko National Park, and that was stopped by the Kosciuszko National Park and Wildlife Service militia, which had just come back from Ukraine. That's what they looked like. They were just bully boys and a defenseless woman, and these guys, a group of big tough blokes. Some had teeth, some didn't. And it's not a good look, is it, for this service, that they are annihilating a beautiful species or animal and at the same time acting like the Hoon Brigade?
Well, they have a job to do, too, Mike, which we don't like, but they have a job to do. And it's not what we need to focus on here is the management of the national parks and where they get their instructions from, which is the government. So they are instructed to do these things, which some of them don't like and some of them do like it. So, yes, you're right. Some of them do like to play the tough people, but we have to try and get these horses managed appropriately, and that is through the voice of the people. So getting information out there. So this is a good segue actually for you, Mike. We have rallies right across Australia coming up, which we can all voice our opinion at.
We do. These rallies are very important. Just before we get into that, though, that video, and it truly did no good for these guys. And I don't know these guys at all, but it was very bad. And what's been happening, it shows them in a low bad light. However, what would have been appropriate is a conversation. Just a conversation.
A conversation is what's needed on both sides. That's all we're asking for is a conversation.
Totally agree with you. Now, back to the rallies, as we segued into it, and I popped out just to finish up my last bit. The rallies, I mean, we're at Tumbarumba on Saturday. We're driving down from the Goldie again, nothing like a short day and a half sojourn. But it's very important, and the rallies are all over Australia. We're going to try and link up with a whole bunch prior to the actual rallies themselves, just to get an idea of the temperature and of each of the areas. If somebody wanted to be part of these rallies, how do they do that?
There's a couple of different ways to find out where there is a rally next or close to you. One of the biggest pages that is sharing information is the Brumbies Without Borders Facebook group. It's pretty easy to join, and that has information about every single rally. There are 17 rallies. 2 came on board yesterday. So now we have Adelaide, South Australia, and another one in Western Australia. But they are all over New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, South Australia, and Western Australia. But there are many groups sharing these posters and information, and some organisers, not all, but some organisers are creating Facebook events. So you can go in and have a look at events near you on your Facebook to see what's coming up. But if they want to reach out to me personally, I'm happy to take any phone calls, messages, the like, and put them in touch with the people who are organising these rallies. We are trying to coordinate it as much as we can, because we've got some big issues that we need to tackle as a group. In regards to setting up these rallies, we've got some insurance issues which we're trying to sort through. We have notifications from police or of police, and then we've got local council issues that we need to work through as a group. And in most cases where we are working very closely with both of those organisations to make these rallies peaceful, and they are supposed to be a peaceful voice for the horses. Horses don't go out there and try and make a loud noise, and that's not what we want to do either. But we want to make sure that government understands that the people of Australia are listening and watching, and we don't want this to happen anymore. They need to stop and listen to us, and that's what the rallies are all about.
Yeah, it's. I always say though that there's a huge amount of money involved at the end of the day with this, and you look at the renewables and all the private planned development for the Kosciuszko National Park, and you look at the transmission lines and everything. It's coming to the pointy end, and it's the stench of corruption with such a huge amount of money. And we're talking probably into the trillions, just about way over the billions mark. It's all very well saying that we need to be, and I do agree, we need to act like a civilised adults at these rallies, but at the same time, we do need to get that message over that this is unacceptable. This is not how the average Australian would act. Having said that, what they are doing is not how anybody should act or would act. And I think there are other agendas at play. So I do believe that that there are other things at play here, and you just have to look at all the projects in place and those planned, not just for the Kosciuszko National Park, but for all of rural Australia. And if you look at that and put it in the pointy end of the plane, you'll find that there is enormous amount of money and resources being poured into this, and you often wonder why are they doing that. Anyway, that's just so. I think the Brumby part is part of that. I think though the lack of respect that they're showing these beautiful creatures and the lies and propaganda that's surrounding this is appalling. I also find it appalling that the Australians are so unaware of or disinterested in many cases. And this is why these rallies are such a great idea, because peacefully they show that there are things happening to their country that they need to be aware of. And as good citizens, they need to object to.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Mike. And I think people in Australia are waking up to the fact that we are allowed to have a voice. We can say no. We don't want this to happen. We just need to get the government to start to listen to us. And I think the rallies starting to bring everybody together right across Australia shows that people are not happy with this. They're not happy with the current government. They're not happy with the current policies. The legislation changes without consultation with the public, the Australians, and we need to make a change to that. And this is just the first step, I think. But it's going to make us heard with 17 rallies right across Australia. The only place at the moment that we don't have a rally in is the Northern Territory, but I believe somebody is working on a Darwin rally, because these horses that we love so much are being targeted right across Australia. KNP is the one that's got the focus at the moment, but this happens all over Australia. We just don't hear about it because it's not on mainstream media. So unless you follow the Brumbies and you know what's going on, you don't hear about it, which is why, again, the rallies are so important. We're going to do some live crosses with you, I know, Mike, across some of the rallies, organising all of that. But we need to make sure that our point gets across. In some of the rallies, we've got some really fantastic speakers that are political speakers, and I won't announce who they are at each rally because that's up to the rally organisers, but there are some big hitters coming to the rallies to have a discussion with the general public and the Brumby advocates and general horse lovers to try and raise awareness. What we're hoping to do with the rallies is not only get people involved who know about the Brumby issue, but also the general public who might be walking past and can listen in and join the rally on the day.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a way of bringing the community together on an issue that the community should be involved with. And who knows from there, as I said, Shannon and Andrew Thaler and those did the plane trip the other day, or yesterday in fact, and once, as you said, goes through the AI to work out the exact numbers or close to it, then we'll have a better idea. But for Shannon, though, to be dismayed at seeing nothing, and only, whereas he expected to see 1,000 horses, which is way under the 16,000, by the way, that the government said we're running amok. It must be you just have the gut feeling that Shannon is probably spot on to what he's thinking. And it's appalling that we do this. And I think that as a civilization, we're failing miserably. That's just my own thoughts, and that's very upsetting.
I think we're using the horses as a scapegoat, which I think has been said. I think you've said it many times too, Mike, to remove things, animals, and people who want to have a voice out of the money-making process. because we're too loud, and the horses are just a convenient scapegoat for that, which is sad. But there are certainly not the 16,000 animals that they say there are this year. And the modelling, as we've had this discussion before, so last year they counted 712 horses and then modelled that based on the flight paths and the mapping that they did out to 16,000 horses. So how can you go from 712 physical sightings to 16,000? It doesn't make sense.
No, it's a blatant lie, but their propaganda is so good, and the lack of reporting from legacy media and also a lot of alt media too. Just the lack of reporting means that it's not on the tip of everybody's tongue, and they are unaware of what is happening. But at the same time, to be unaware at the moment, there's no excuse for it, and we do need to stop this right now. We need to stop it. We need to embrace the horse and embrace our fellow human being, and realise some of the mistakes we've made and things we've done that shouldn't have been done, and then we need to move on and mend those fences, because otherwise there is simply no hope, absolutely no hope for civilization.
And not make any more fences.
That's it. We've got to mend it.
Don't build more fences.
Or knock those fences down, but sometimes you need those just to keep your neighbours out. Look, it's always lovely chatting with you. I sincerely hope that this weekend, and I think it will be a very, very big weekend of enunciating what is happening at the moment. We're at Tarumba, by the way. We actually have horses. Are you bringing horses?
So do we, Queemian. We're bringing horses.
No, we got more horses than you.
Oh, let's have a horse off.
We're going to herd them. We've got how many? We got 600. No, we haven't. But anyway, and it's going to be Noel and the others are just doing a fantastic job. We'll be there enjoying the brisk air of Tumbarumba. So thank you very much, Rachel, for your time. If somebody wants to find out more, by the way, how do they do that with you?
They can contact me on Facebook. They can contact us on Brumbies Without Borders, or they can contact us on our New Dawn Safe Haven pages as well.
Fantastic. By the way, that background behind me is in, I don't know if you've ever been to Victoria. There's a place called Sea Lake in Victoria on the way to Mildura. It's surrounded by nothing, but you've got these beautiful painted silos there. Yeah, they're stunning. So Sea Lake, and I used to stop there because my folks live in Mildura, so we, from Melbourne to Sea Lake, we'd stop there for a cuppa next to the Food Works store. There you are. There's a plug for all those in Sea Lake. Rachel, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. This is the Country Telegraph, reminding you tomorrow, we're at, as that in the background happens, and reminding you tomorrow that we have one more show live, and then we're going to have two pre-records this week because I'll be on the road. The wife and I on the road again, a bit like Willie Nelson. He's a bit younger. On the road again to Tumbarumba and broadcasting live from there on Saturday morning, and then part of the rally, which is not really a protest at all. It's a rally and hoping to share information. So until tomorrow, have a great day. Thank you so much for your time. This song I will always play till the cows come home, as they would say, because to me it says it all, what is happening to those beautiful Brumbies. Thank you very much. This is the Country Telegraph.
Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Brumby hoof prints etched for generations in the snow. I've watched the foals become the mares, the stallions old and slow. Here in the Snowy Mountains, where my life began, Across hills, ridges, and open plains, my fellow Brumbies ran. I've led them through winter storms, drought and summer rain, but I can't outrun what follows now. Shield my family from this pain. My ancestors crossed the oceans, but I was born upon this land. These mountains are my birthplace, the Snowies are my clan. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. Tell my foal I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Stay close beside me, little one. The thunder isn't rain. The sky itself is hunting us, and I cannot stop the pain. I gather those I love and turn to face the sound. Though every instinct tells me run, there's nowhere left for us now. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. I don't know the reason. I hear the echo of final sound, deadly thunder overhead as I fall upon the ground. Thunder again and again, my heart grows quiet as bullets rain. I thought I had more seasons, more rivers left to roam, more sunrises with my Kosciuszko clan before the mountains called me home. Tell them I was born here, my grandfathers fought their wars. Remind them that this was our home, the Snowy Mountains were ours. Tell my foal I knew her fear. Tell my mare I heard her call. Tell my foal I tried to save them. Tell the wind how Brumbies fall. Tell my foal I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye.